Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Data Cloud Summit 2020. So here I'm going to talk about how we developed a data lake solution using AWS S3 and Snowflake at Portland General Electric. And about myself, I'm a principal data architect at PGE, and I'm part of data strategy and management team, which is led by Hema Sundaram. And we have John Kochawar, who is the vice president and CEO of the company. And we have Maria Pope on the top, who is the CEO of the company. So there are about 30 to 40 people work in our group in the data strategy and management group. So about PGE, PGE is located in Portland, Oregon, and we serve about 880,000 customers within our 4,000 square mile service area, which includes 51 Oregon cities. And we generate electricity from different parts, which is 9% wind, 30% purchase power, 33% natural gas, 14% coal, and 14% hydro. So, and these are the quick facts about PGE. And there are about 3,000 employees who works for the company, and rest of them are contractors. So these are the four core important goals which we follow across the company. There are like operational excellence, financial results, customer retention and growth, and decarbonization. So each and every team in the company, we like work towards each of these goals. And before we move to the Snowflake, and in 2011, that's when we implemented the enterprise data warehouse in PGE. So, so initially we implemented PeopleSoft, which is our financial application system. So when we started implementing PeopleSoft, Oracle has delivered a pre-built package for the enterprise data warehouse. Pre-built in the sense, it will have all the mappings and all the logics in it, and then we just have to configure according to the PeopleSoft source system, and then run the ETL. So it will populate all the tables. So we started with PeopleSoft, and then slowly at PGE, there are like multiple other system which we have to integrate into one place so that they can make quick decisions and insights to that data. So initially we started with finance, and then even finance, they have multiple system they maintain. PeopleSoft for finance and supply chain, and then they have like Power Plant for different budgeting and actuals and project module. So there are different modules. So and we had to like increase and enhance the enterprise data warehouse from the Oracle out of the box architecture, and then we have brought in a lot of other data sets in the enterprise data warehouse, so that business can make decision out of that. And they gave us a tool called Oracle Business Intelligence, which is a reporting tool, and where users will see their reports and dashboards using Oracle Business Intelligence. So after like couple of years, we started seeing a lot of performance issues because initially it was all pretty good, and then slowly we started seeing a lot of performance issues because there are no data archival or retention policies applied in the enterprise data warehouse, and also we didn't have a license on the partitioning. So every time you have to implement something on the partitioning, you have to pay a different license to Oracle. And also the other problem what we have faced is on the storage. So whenever the data started growing, and then we have to increase the storage, and we have to pay a lot of money to increase the storage. And the users started seeing a lot of issues on the performance. And also like whenever they want to add a new column, just one column or two columns in a particular table, it takes about a long time, like a month to do it, because it's very tightly coupled architecture since it is out of the box, and also heavily on the IT dependencies. Um, because it's not for self-service. Even users wants to do a lot of self-service, because the way the Oracle Business Intelligence and out of the box architected, it didn't let them do it. So that's when after like 3 years, around like 2014 timeframe, business started using Tableau, where they were asking for data sets from us so that they can use Tableau to do reporting. That's when we started implementing the Operation Data Store in-house. We did all the custom ETLs there. So we brought in all the data sets into one place. where Tableau can connect to it and then create dashboards. Again, like after 1 or 2 years, and they are also facing a lot of performance problems, heavy on the storage cost on the Tableau server, and then there are a lot of extracts happening on the Tableau server. That is like a big bottleneck on the Tableau. So because if you look at it, there are copies everywhere. So one copy is in Oracle Enterprise Data Warehouse, and then other copy is in Operation Data Store, and there is one more copy which is going into Tableau, which is all the extracts. That is again, so everywhere we do a copy, we have to pay for the storage, and it's really expensive, and then we have to increase the storage. And then in 2018, we implemented again. We moved from our customer system called Banner to new Oracle CCB and MDM system. So that's when Oracle again they delivered a package called OUA, which is Oracle Utility Analytics. It's completely different than PeopleSoft package which we bought in 2011. So since it's a new package, we had to have a different OUA, like a different data warehouse, and then again it's a different tool which is Oracle OBAE, and then it's a different stack, and then again it's a different integration platform. So every time when we are buying a package from some vendor, it comes with a different integration tool, different reporting tool, and different database. So since, like, for the end users, every time they get confused whenever like IT implements different system, but they always get confused where to go and get the data. And because the data is in multiple places, and multiple integration tools is involved, and multiple logics you're duplicating, and there are lack of self-service, and users always look for self-service where they want data and they can do all the reporting and all the logics. But because of all these technologies and the complexity, we were not able to deliver it. And the other thing which I want to touch about is this is really high on the O&M labor and cost. The reason why I'm saying is, every quarter we have to do patching on each of the system, either it is integration or database. We have to do patching, and there is a person who sits and then bring down the database, and then patch the system, and then bring it back. So every time user will have an impact on whenever we do that. The other problem is, these are all the systems are running in a daily basis. And now if you look at the current world, everyone wants like a more real time, and more like within 5 minutes, within hour, and within 2 hours. Because of this complex architecture, we were not able to deliver it to them. That is another big disadvantage with this. And so we looked at multiple cloud vendors, and like, Microsoft, AWS, and Oracle, and multiple like Google, and we looked at multiple cloud vendors. And finally, since we are like an Oracle shop, we ended up with AWS, and because we can easily move the Oracle databases to AWS pretty quickly. So that's when we started implementing in 2019 the AWS. So when we started building a data lake, so we were like discussing with multiple vendors on how we can do this, and how to bring in the data in a more real-time way, not like a daily batch. Because when we bring in the data in a real time, then after that, based on the use cases, we can decide whether we need a real time, we need hourly, or however user needs. So then we looked at multiple tools because we need some tool to replicate into a real time. So that's when AWS has a pretty good um, tool called like database migration service. So which can migrate the data from Oracle to AWS cloud in a real time way. So database migration, then we started implementing a database migration. So that's the first thing. First, we want to bring in all the data into one place to land the data, and then start doing ETL, and then move data to the data lake. So that's when we started doing the database migration service, and then we brought in all the not all the core, all the data, I would say. So basically, which is needed for analytics and data lake for users. So only in the need basis, we started bringing in data into the S3 in a real time. So every time when the data changes in any of the source system, and we get replicated into S3 right away in a real time basis. And then it goes into the Snowflake. So I'll talk about Snowflake, how we reached into Snowflake. So initially we were looking at multiple cloud data lake vendors, and then we tried certain vendors, but it didn't work out really well, because one of the main thing our business asks is, um, they want to have a separate system, separate compute, where they can run their own analysis and it performs really well. And also, like, our management ask about who's using what and what is the cost, so that we can charge back to each of those business areas. So none of the cloud vendors other than Snowflake has that capability, where you can have a separate storage and a compute. So that's the main unique thing which I really like in Snowflake, where I can convince my management to, based on this functionality, to go with Snowflake. The other benefit, what I would want to touch is, Snowflake has a auto suspend mode. So we tried with other vendors initially, like back in 2019. So there were no, like, start and stop mode. So that means you have to run the data lake for 24 by 7. It's like very expensive. But Snowflake has a really, auto suspend mode, which can auto suspend in less than 1 minute. You can set it up. So that's how we are doing right now. So if you're not using, then you're not going to pay for it. And also the other thing is, it's all managed by Snowflake, so you don't need to have a admin or DBA who sits and maintains it. And it does auto partitioning, micro partitioning. Everything is managed by Snowflake. So what we just have to do is just load the data directly into Snowflake, and then have access, give access to the users, and then they just use it for the reporting and analytics. And yeah, so I'll talk about how we did the pipeline. So initially we used DMS to migrate all our Oracle on-prem databases to S3. And then we have a couple of system which is hosted outside. So we have used Matillion as our ETL tool. Basically, like, we have been using ETL before, and since it is a cloud data warehouse platform, we want to move away from ETL to ELT, so which is extract, load, and transform. So because we want to make use of the compute processing which Snowflake gives you, because their compute and processing is really fast when compared to any other databases. So that's when we started implementing the Matillion. Again, so all these are, like, you don't need to go buy separately. It's all available in AWS Marketplace. We just went and started subscribing either Snowflake or Matillion, and then we started using it. And then you pay for the use, not like, if you're not using, you're not going to pay for it. That's a really a way to manage the cost. And also, we have been paying upfront for Oracle, like millions and millions of dollars, but here it's like, if you're not using, you're not going to pay for it. And most of the existing enterprise data, we keep bringing in data, even though business are not using it, but you will be end up paying for it. So that's the main advantage of moving into the Snowflake. And yeah, so we brought in other data sets using Matillion through APIs, or through SFTP, or whatnot. And since we were able to bring in all the data into S3, and then since S3 is an object storage, it won't let you do updates or inserts. Anytime when an update or insert happens on the source, it will just keep inserting the files. And then we have to process the data. So that's when using Snowflake and S3, so what we did is we have created the external table which points to all the S3 bucket. And then on top of external table, we have created a views to process the data, so that the processing data should exactly matches with the source table. And then that's the landing zone. So that's when you process everything and then keep it in the landing zone, which exactly matches with the source table. And then there are some transaction tables, which is like a huge volume. So we deal about like meter interval data, which is like really huge, like 3 to 4 terabyte of worth of data. So all these transaction tables, we cannot keep it as an external table. The reason is, since it goes against file, even it is a Parquet format or CSV format, it takes a lot of time to retrieve the data. So we use Snowpipe to ingest the data directly into the Snowflake table. So how Snowpipe works is like same whenever a file reaches into S3, the Snowpipe will pick the S3 and then file and then push it into the Snowflake. That also happens in a real time. So we achieve till to the landing in a real time basis. So that means all the landing tables, which is exactly the same like source tables, we were able to get it in a real time. And then we have processed the data, and then we have enriched the data, which is the model layer, based on the need basis. Let's say if a user wants in a daily load, then we don't need to run real time, because you have to pay a lot of cost when you want to. When there is no use case for a real time, then it's no need of developing a real time. So that's when it's really useful. Initial landing is like real time. And from there, based on the use cases, we decide whether it needs to be real time or a daily basis. And now, after we implemented this, it increased a lot of self-service for the business user, because we have become a data provider, not like a report developers or anything. And now business is taking over and then doing all the analysis, since they have access to both model layer and the raw data. They are able to do all the reports in a self-service way. And then there is we have reduced a lot of O&M and labor cost. And also, whenever we do a patching, it's automatically taken care by Snowflake. There is no downtime needed for this. And also, the other important benefit is like you can do the data sharing. Let's say for most of the data science use case, they want a production like data. So back in Oracle, every time you want to copy a data from production, you need to like work with DBA. They have to do an entire copy and take it, extract it, and load it in. It takes a lot of time. And since Snowflake has this data sharing capabilities, it's just like click of a button. You just go share your production data to test, where data science can use a production like data directly. Like it's just like a you're not doing any copy. It's just like you're creating a share from the production. The storage is still in production, but you're sharing the data in test. So that really helped data science to move forward really quick, so that they can do their algorithm, and then they can see the leads, and then they can move their product into production in an easy way. The other flexibility is, sharing the data to external partners. This was a huge bottleneck in our on-prem Oracle system, because a lot of external partners want to access the data, and most of them are on AWS or different cloud, and it's hard for us to move the data from on-prem to their cloud, because cloud to cloud is always faster. And that's when Snowflake really helped us, because they have a storage integration policies for all three cloud vendors like Azure, Google Cloud, and S3 or AWS. So by using that storage integration, it's very simple. Like you have to have a create a storage integration by working with the external partners for their cloud, like a GCP, and we were able to, and we worked with a couple of vendors, and we were able to share data to their GCP and their Azure, just like through Snowflake data warehouse. And it's really simple as well. And these are the entire data lake architecture what we implemented at PGE. And then I'm moving on to the next slide. Yeah, so here is the landing zone, which I talked about initially on the left-hand side. We brought in all the data initially into the landing zone in a real-time basis using external table and Snowpipe. After that, we enriched the data. Previously, we have used a Kimball methodology, where the star schema model and in Oracle. But in the cloud, what we are using is Data Vault. So one benefit of using Data Vault is, so you can separate for each source system, you can model your data. Let's say like one of the source system is moving away, so you can just go and remove the table. So the Data Vault architecture really works very well on the cloud. There are not a lot of maintenance. It's not like tightly coupled, it's loosely coupled, I would say. And from the data vault, and we have created a data marts. That's when users will use Tableau or any other reporting tool to plug in directly into the data mart and then create the reports. So everything, like we laid the foundation on the using a data vault architecture, and then we have created a data mart, and then we have released all the data to the users. So now users have access to both the data mart as well as the landing tables, which is the raw tables. Because not everything needs to be modeled, because everything you cannot model it. Only which is common to all the business areas, then we can model it, or else we can keep the rest in the landing area. That's when users now has ability to connect both modeled as well as the raw data, so that they don't need to depend on IT for bringing in okay one column or two column. Now everything is taken care by the business users, and they can create their own views, and we have given them access to the data mart to create their own views, and then they can create their own reports. So it has like increased a lot of self-service. And also other feature which I want to talk about is the data security. So since like we have been using multiple tools for reporting, you need to keep all the data secured, so that doesn't matter whether we use Excel or Tableau or Power BI, users should be able to use the data and then create the reports. So that's when there is a concept called secure views in Snowflake, where you can create a secure view on a table by implementing department row level security, column level security in the view, and based on the user login, and then it will trigger based on the user logs in. So we've implemented a single sign-on through Tableau, so where user logs in and then the security applies, and then the person can see only what he's supposed to see. So, and this is the slide. And yeah, so the data lake work streams and capabilities. So this is the plan. Currently, we have implemented finance, and then we have implemented some customer analytics, and then we are planning to bring in other data sets like weather data and electric vehicle, because since we are electric company, there are a lot of electric vehicle stations across Oregon. So we would like to bring in all the data sets so that we can understand how customers are using their energy and how much we need to generate, and all those things. But since the storage is really cheap, and we can bring in all the data sets, and we can create different computes. So only it can be like like capable only using the data lake, but we cannot store any unstructured data like JSON or anything in Oracle or anywhere. And also like there are a lot of data sharing from different vendors, like weather data. So in the Snowflake data sharing, if you want to have weather data where data science wants to use some weather station to do their prediction, so we are working with one of the weather data sharing through Snowflake, and they can easily share the data to you, and you can start using it. So this is the entire work stream we are planning in the coming years. And yeah, so these are the three main use cases which we delivered in like the last year and this year. So the first big thing what we did is sharing the data to our external customer. So and all the cities in Portland and Oregon, so they want their energy consumption and the billing usage. So so far, like we have been delivering to them through Excel by going into the database, running a query, and then exporting it, and then sending it through an email. And then they had to sometimes they use their own reporting tool. So they had to upload this data. If it did not work, they have to enter each and every account, like 200, 300 accounts manually. So it took them a lot of time as a customer. So that's when, after we implemented the data lake solution, we worked with them and we worked with the vendor, and then we are directly posting the data using a web service call, so that there is no Excel, no manual entry, and right in when the data is available, it will post to their account right away. So they log into their system and then see that. So by this way, we have reduced the customer friction, and then and also it is very much cost effective. So within like minutes, the data will be transferred to their account. And the next use cases is we have been using a tool called Data Raker, which is delivered from Oracle. And for some of the data science, algorithm, which is a revenue protection investigator, which is a theft meter theft detection. So every time we have to, in on-premise, we have to send the data from Oracle to the Data Raker, and every day it takes like too many hours, like 1 or 2 days to transfer the data because it's a huge volume. And we were not using the product really well. So that's when we rewritten those using cloud, and then we hired a few data scientists to implement this in-house, and then we were able to deliver the product in about 8 weeks. And then that's when we saved about 500K, and we decommissioned the entire product, and then we are not paying license for it. So this is one of the things. The other thing is, as I mentioned about the enterprise data warehouse, so we have been playing like more than 1 million to the Oracle, like about licensing, database, application, and everything. And now, since we are moving slowly one by one to the cloud data lake, and by end of 2021, we are planning to decommission entire enterprise data warehouse on-prem. So if you look at it, right, so entire, if you look at it, the savings is like more than 1 million. But using data lake and AWS S3 and data lake, it won't even cost like 200K in a year, even if you move every data sets. Right now, our current yearly bill is around like 200, which includes not only data lake, which includes we have created APIs for mobile and web and a lot of other systems as well. So that's a huge savings for the company. And yeah, so there are some key learnings. So when we started implementing DMS, we ran into a few challenges by replicating Oracle data into the cloud, because most of our Oracle databases are encrypted, and so if it is encrypted, the supply node and redo log won't work right away. So we have to make some change and working with AWS to fix it. And then they were like really responsive, and then they were able to fix it really quick, and then that issue is solved. And other issues is, when you have a huge volume of data, the preference is to go with the direct connect, since you're using Tableau on-prem and cloud different like AWS. So if you want to like connect one system or different system, or if you want to move a huge data sets, it's preferred to have a direct connect instead of having a VPN, because VPN is pretty slow when you connect from on-prem to the cloud. And yeah, we are in process of moving to the data direct connect pretty soon. And also, like, as and when possible, try to create aggregate tables. And you can still use in the built-in materialized view and auto clustering service, which is from Snowflake. But in order to be cost effective, try to create more aggregate tables, and try not avoid materialized view and auto clustering. And yep, that's all about presentation today. So thank you everyone for listening. And if you have any question, you guys can reach out to me anytime in LinkedIn or through email. And thank you for giving me an opportunity for presenting. Thanks. Bye.